York. First major public address since leaving the White House. Kamala Harris using that stage to attack President Trump with the current agenda. Her speech fueling more speculation about her own future and whether or not the potential for a bid for governor is in the offing. Or maybe even president, Dana. Who knows?
Well, Rich Edson, he's live in Washington. He has much more on this. Hi, Rich.
Hey, good morning, Dana and Bill. Well, former Vice President Kamala Harris has kept a pretty low profile across the first 100 days of the Trump administration. Now she's back at it, accusing President Trump of the wholesale abandonment of American ideals and warning that the Constitution's checks and balances on the presidency have begun to buckle under Republican rule.
It's an agenda, a narrow, self-serving vision of America, where they punish truth tellers, favor loyalists, cash in on their power.
The White House just responded to this speech, saying it was a great reminder to the American people just how blessed we all are that Donald Trump and not Kamala Harris are in the Oval Office, because if she was, it'd be the end of America. Harris also acknowledged that everyone has been asking her what she's thinking about these days. Reportedly, she's thinking about running for governor of California in 2026. That's a decision she's expected to make by the end of the summer. The former VP is also raising money. The New York Times reports Harris is headlining a DNC fundraiser next week in New York. Tickets going between $25,000 and $44,000. Harris's 2024 running mate, Minnesota Governor Tim Walz, is speaking as well. He says Harris chose him as her VP because he could, quote, code talk to white guys watching football and fixing their trucks. If Harris does become California's governor, that would open up the 2028 Democratic presidential field even further. New York Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez has been touring the country, raising money with Senator Bernie Sanders, though she has not committed to a run or ruled out a run.
The story of young Kamala rode a donkey from Tijuana, met a man, Willie Brown, deep in the bowels of California. Nice to meet you, nice to know you. Would you like fries with your order? Come a bit closer. I got something I want to show you. This is my spatula, this is my apron. My name is Kamala, you know what I'm saying. Cat, 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 I load the pallets in the back. Golden arch, I'm a wreck. Oh, Willie, you made a mess. Think fries are done, think fries are done. Oh, what have I done? I just needed a job. One day I'll become a lawyer. Think fries are done, one day I'll be a lawyer. Think fries are done, one day I'll be...
Is it weird that I'm here in my little hotel room here, like in the smog-filled LA, just howling with laughter? No wonder the cleaning ladies won't come. Like, no wonder. They hear me howling with laughter inside of my room as I watch the memes with you. I don't watch the memes before the show. Jerry does the memes. He's our official meme maker. I don't see him before the show. I watch them live with you, and I'm howling here in our little hotel room as I watch the news break. Our entire production chat is melting down right now because we started the show and then the entire world changed. From last night, with Kamala Harris giving a 10 p.m. speech here that was pure cringe, beginning her presidential run in 2028, God help us. Gubernatorial run here in California. This state is already in total and complete shambles, and we'll show you what we did yesterday. We went and asked people about Kamala's governor's run, and you'll get a sneak peek at an upcoming Benny on the Block. It's going to be awesome. But then we have breaking news off the top here. Today, Thursday, May 1st, 2025. May, starting off with a big ol' bang. Mike Walls and Alex Wong are out as National Security Advisor and as the Assistant Deputy National Security Advisor in the White House. This is breaking at time of show, the moment we went live. This is massive news, but we have more to cover today, and we have a great slate of guests to cover this news with. Now we know that Dr. Fauci is potentially being criminally investigated by Tulsi Gabbard at DNI, the Director of National Intelligence, announcing that she is investigating Dr. Fauci for lying to Congress and for his activities within the CIA to create COVID, as we have been railing about and screaming about like mad dogs in the great white woods of the north. You know that howl when you hear full moon? That's us screaming that Dr. Fauci created COVID with the CIA. as a cover. We have the documents. That's what we did. Okay. Also, that's the news that broke during our meme to open the show. Kamala Harris makes speech attacking Trump's vision for America. Very interesting. And Trump expresses support for Stephen A. Smith in 2028 for president. Oh, man. We will be joined by the man who is the man of the house. Let's just call him that. His name is Hogan Gidley. He's been press secretary and communications director for President Trump, for Speaker Johnson. He's going to be live on the show along with Senator Mike Lee. Always an absolute banger. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Benny Johnson, and this is The Benny Show. Okay, the 100 days of the golden era are over, and lo and behold, the stock market has come roaring back. It dropped like a rock, and now it is absolutely flat on the year. In fact, it's exactly where it was in November. So all the panicans can go pound sand, all right? We do not have tolerance for weakness around here. We do not have an appetite for weak men and women and people who can just be manipulated like that, all right? Ladies and gentlemen, the reason why we can stay sound throughout moments like this is, well, we have sound financing. We have taken care of our own home. And ladies and gentlemen, we wish to take care of yours. That is why sorry, ALX, I'm seeing let me know which, I'm sorry, ALX, you need to check out the script here, please. And let me know where I should go from here. Sorry, ladies and gentlemen, all of the breaking news has us a little bit mixed up in the script. I apologize. So ALX is hopping in and is going to get us locked and loaded. Okay, let's begin with the breaking news. Off the top. Speaking of getting your house in order, President Trump firing Mike Waltz. I have opinions on this. Mike Waltz was a regular on our show before he joined the White House. I'm sure there's going to be a certain contingent that's going to be cheering this. Let's go to the breaking news here, ladies and gentlemen, as we get our script in order, please. Thank you.
Breaking news that happened in the commercial break. So what you're looking at photographs right now of Michael Waltz. He is the president's national security advisor, except for we just got news that he is going to be leaving the administration along with his deputy, Alex Wong. Of course, if you might remember the story of Signalgate. I don't know if that's for a particular reason, but there was some consternation among some people about Mike Waltz, who you might remember was a congressman. Green Beret, a long history and career in foreign policy, and I believe.
Okay, well, that was a strange little breaking clip. Please get me the full clip. Thank you very much. It's all breaking right now, ladies and gentlemen, and we apologize for the little glitches here. Is the way that it goes when we have the entire universe change right before we get the show done. So that's why we talk through these kind of things, ladies and gentlemen. Okay. Speaking of getting our houses in order, and then we're going to talk about President Trump getting his house in order. Get your house in order with American financing. Ladies and gentlemen, everything that is happening in the economy today, it does feel like we are walking on shaky ground. Although, I will say, the stock market completely flat on the year and exactly where it was in November. So whatever. It is what it is, right? Credit card debt, though, is completely skyrocketing in this country. There's a lot of people who have a ton of uncertainty at home. Credit card debt is, I think, criminal. The rates that you can get, 20 and 30%. I think that's complete usury, and it is immoral. But nonetheless, it is what it is, and so you live life as it goes. And how you should live life is out of debts. My friends at American Financing can help you take control and get out of debt. They can help you access the equity in your home and pay down that high-interest credit card debt, giving you peace of mind and real savings. On average, people like you are saving $800 per month. Plus, they may close your loan in as little as 10 days. Do not let the chaos of the economy get the best of you. Call American Financing now. It costs you nothing to get started. Delay 2 mortgage payments, giving you the cushion in these uncertain times. 888-528-1219. That's 888-528-1219 for AmericanFinancing.net/Benny. All right, ladies and gentlemen, you may have noted that we are trying to, we had an entire show built, and now we are rebuilding the show within the last couple of minutes because the entire world changed. All right, thoughts on Mike Waltz as the team gets me an article and the clips, please. The thoughts on Mike Waltz is this. Mike Waltz is roundly seen and let me begin by saying he's a regular on this program. He was a regular on this program before. He was a congressman from Florida. I like Mike Waltz as a person. He's always been very kind to us. He's been somebody who has told honest and true information on this program and fought very, very hard for President Trump in the 2024 election. Okay, so I like Mike Waltz. He's been, again, I have not seen him to be a liar, but I don't know everything. And I'm just speaking on behalf of this program. So here is what has happened since he joined the White House as the National Security Advisor, which is, of course, a very, very important position. I think you need to go back in time just a couple of years and note that the National Security Advisor position, like John Bolton, has been like the deep state's sleeper cell inside of the Trump administration. That's what the NSC operates as. The NSC is a sleeper cell operation that has been used to sabotage Trump. Good, perfect and good example of this. John Bolton used his agents inside of the NSC in order to listen in on President Trump's personal conversations. Now, they do that a lot, but this time they took the transcript of that, leaked it to Adam Schiff, and got President Trump impeached. That all happened from within the National Security Council, which is the globalist, deep state bunker buster missile that hits inside of the Trump administration. So that position is really important. That position cannot be a globalist. That position cannot be somebody who wants forever war. That position cannot be somebody who's a neocon. I am not trying to say Mike Waltz is all of those things, but that is what everybody calls Mike Waltz. Now, Laura Loomer has done a ton of background checking and reporting and has found that various members of Mike Waltz's administration, Alex Wong is one of them, and maybe we can put up some of that reporting here, has, let's just say, non-MAGA and America First connections, where there are members of the National Security Council who have deep ties and connections to the Bush family, which are effectively, you just have to see the Bush family as like the exact same. They're synonymous with Barack Obama at this point. They're the same people. Pure political clarity and zen and understanding is the realization that Michelle Obama and George Bush are of the same party. They're the same people. They want the same things. That's why they hug in public. They're the same. And so this is what President Trump is fighting. And there are people inside of the NSC that have, let's just say, connections to a world that Donald Trump has utterly decimated and destroyed, and they'd love nothing else than to get in there and to start leaking. Now, Signalgate. This is something that it has, was a big no-no. And I said at the time, and we can go pull the tape, that with Signalgate, what was revealed was at best gross negligence and incompetence at the highest level, because they added a reporter that hates Donald Trump with every fiber of his being and writes fake news about Donald Trump. He literally writes fake news about Donald Trump. But it's not just like President Trump ate a Big Mac today, in the White House and got ketchup stains on the carpet. It's like fake news that Donald Trump calls dead soldiers suckers and losers. It's the worst, most pernicious style of fake news. You can't get lower than Jeff Goldberg, who was added to the Signal chat. As I have said before, the person who added that individual should be fired. And what this seems to be is confirmation that President Trump agrees with that and that President Trump has done the firing, because it became quite clear that Mike Waltz was the one who added this reporter. Why did he do that? Mike Waltz says, it was a mistake. All right. Again, I don't know the answer to that, but I do know that the person responsible has proven gross negligence, and that person is responsible for the most important position, arguably, in President Trump's administration, because the National Security Council office is in the Oval Office. Do you understand this? The Oval Office, I've done a couple tours of the Oval Office. I got a tour of the Oval Office from Trump in term 1. We look forward to live streaming our tour of the Oval Office with Trump term 2. With President Trump, term 1, he showed me that the National Security Council is actually a little cubby door in the Oval Office. It's a special door that was used by Bill Clinton for, let's just say, things that I cannot describe here because we try and do a PG-13 rated show. But there is like a little nook in the Oval Office. That's how close the National Security Council is. You want to know why they can listen in on Trump's phone calls? Because they can literally put their ear to the door. So let's just the Secretary of Defense doesn't have an office in the Oval Office. Tulsi Gabbard, who also broke a ton of news, doesn't have an office in the Oval Office. And so, ladies and gentlemen, here's the reporting up on here on Alex Wong, who was just fired. And ladies and gentlemen, and guys, let me know if we have that full Fox clip. I would like to get. Thank you. Alex Wong served as the Foreign and Legal Policy Director for Mitt Romney's presidential campaign 2012. Okay. All right. Well, that's not great. Okay. Like, Mitt Romney did everything in his human power to sabotage and destroy Donald Trump. He then has worked, for like, he worked. Chen went on to serve in the Obama and Biden administrations. Oh, no. Okay. Well, like, that's not good. I wouldn't call that MAGA. So wait a second. This guy's like the top guy inside the National Security Council, and he worked his resume goes Mitt Romney, Barack Obama, and Joe Biden. It's a bold strategy. I don't think this is the guy that should be in the office next to Trump, right? Like that's a bad idea. So he's out, ladies and gentlemen. Mike Waltz, the highest level of criticism for Mike Waltz is that he wanted war. That Mike Waltz was a neocon, and he was doing what the neocon establishment does, which is push for war. So that's effectively the wrap up, ladies and gentlemen. Here's the breaking news. We're going to get to Dr. Fauci in just a second. Thank you all for sticking with us as we break this news. We always are live, even when we're in these little one room hotels. We're always live, and we'll always bring you the breaking news live. Okay. We don't do pre-records around here. We let it rip. So here we go, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for sticking with us as we somewhat messily put the live information in the show right now. Let's go.
All right, there's a breaking news that happened in the commercial break. So you're looking at photographs right now of Michael Waltz. He is the president's national security advisor, except for we just got news that he is going to be leaving the administration along with his deputy, Alex Wong. Of course, if you might remember the story of Signalgate. I don't know if that's for a particular reason, but there was some consternation among some people about Mike Waltz, who you might remember was a congressman, Green Beret, a long history and career in foreign policy. And I believe Jackie Heinrich is joining us now. I'm not sure. Is that right? No, Bill, sorry. I'm sorry. I got the news from Jackie Heinrich in the email, and Bill, it's hard sometimes when we're not together. I didn't exactly know what was going on. No problem. Some other people had left, but this was maybe a little surprise.
Yeah, it's day 102, and if you think about Trump 1.0, Dana, when he let General Flynn go early on, sometimes Trump has reflected on that as a big mistake on his behalf, and he really wanted to hold on to his people. Sure. His men and women. Flynn works in the West Wing. Michael Waltz works in the West Wing also, in addition to General Flynn back then. It's a pressure cooker, as you know. It's a tough job. But Flynn right now is the first to go on day 102. All right.
Who can take this position? Will it actually be our friend Mike Flynn? Who would be the new national security? Who would be the new NSC? That was what Mike Flynn was supposed to be in term one, before he was deep state hatchet chopped. So what will happen next? I don't know. I do know this, that there is a clip that hit again at the moment that we started recording here, the moment we started the stream, of Tulsi Gabbard. And Tulsi Gabbard saying that she is going to begin a thorough investigation of Dr. Fauci. Now, Dr. Fauci is pardoned. But what does that mean exactly? Nothing. Dr. Fauci hasn't been charged with a crime. So it'd be really good to charge Dr. Fauci with a crime and then to see if those pardons actually stand up. Can you pardon somebody who hasn't been charged with a crime? Well, according to many legal scholars who have been on this program, you can't. That's not how pardons work. You can't. If that was how pardons work, then a president could just blanket pardon, let's just say, all of his supporters forever. So Donald Trump just leaves office and says, wouldn't that be just the greatest goodie? Every person who can prove they voted for Trump, so 77 million Americans, probably more like 100 million Americans. Anybody who, what's the logical conclusion here? Everybody who can prove that they voted for Trump in 2022, 2024, and 2020 and 2016. So it's hundreds of millions of Americans. All of you get pardons. What's the limiting factor here? Why wouldn't presidents just then pardon every single supporter of his from here until kingdom come as like a benefit for supporting them? Why not just run on that? That you'll just be, if you can just do this for Fauci and your kids and like members of the J6 committee, why not just do it? Why not make this like a handout, like a welfare? Like we're spiraling towards idiocracy here. It's so stupid. It hurts the brain. But here we go. Dr. Fauci wasn't charged with a crime yet. Dr. Fauci's pardon is void because Joe Biden probably didn't sign it. And also because, well, you can't pardon people just from here until kingdom come who haven't been charged with a crime. It's not how pardon system works. Crime, charging, prosecution, then pardon. That's how pardons have always worked. And so this would be really great to test it. It looks like the administration is finding out how to test it. Here we go. Huge. Tulsi Gabbard investigating Dr. Fauci potentially for perjuring himself. Hearings with Rand Paul. Now, I want to give you a little bit of just a little bit of an insight into what the perjury kind of looked like here, right? So let's begin. Every action has an equal and opposite reaction. Little thermodynamics here this morning. So the action, Dr. Fauci promises that there will be a special surprise outbreak of a virus in Trump term 1. In the first day of President Trump's term, starting in January of 2017, Dr. Fauci gives a speech and he says, get ready, there's going to be a surprise virus outbreak. Here we go.
Is that there is no question that there will be a challenge to the coming administration in the arena of infectious diseases, both chronic infectious diseases in the sense of already ongoing disease, and we have certainly a large burden of that, but also there will be a surprise outbreak. And
okay, so that's a little strange. Like, why would somebody say that? That's an odd thing for someone to say. What a strange thing to say. Then the reaction to this is Dr. Fauci, before Congress, having to answer for these the certitude of this statement with Rand Paul. Here we go.
I want to understand that if you look at those viruses, and that's judged by qualified virologists and evolutionary biologists, those viruses are molecularly impossible to result in SARS-CoV-2.
Caused the pandemic. We're saying they are gain-of-function viruses because they were animal viruses that became more transmissible in human, and you funded it.
And
you admit the truth.
And you implying...
Senator Paul, your time has expired, and I will allow witnesses who come...
You ever seen his handshake? We talk about this a lot. You ever seen his handshake? Steve Witkoff, by the way, under consideration to replace Mike Waltz. I vote for, I like Steve Witkoff. Steve Witkoff's cool dude. I vote for General Flynn just because I want the most entertaining outcome, but I'm perfectly fine with Steve Witkoff. Here, ladies and gentlemen, is now the response to that. So action, reaction, action to the reaction is Tulsi Gabbard saying, well, he's perjuring himself because Fauci knew damn well that this was a gain-of-function virus and that he created it and that he paid for it. And he paid for it with CIA dollars. And I'm in charge of the CIA, says Tulsi Gabbard. So, you effed around. And now you're going to get a big, steaming, hot ladle of find out. Here we go.
But the thing that we are working with Jay Bhattacharya, the new NIH director, on with, as well as Secretary Kennedy, is looking at the gain-of-function research that in the case of the Wuhan lab, as well as many of these other biolabs around the world, was actually U.S. funded and leads to this dangerous kind of research that in many examples has resulted in either a pandemic or some other major health crisis.
Well, let me ask you specifically, because we already know that EcoHealth Alliance was partnering with this Wuhan lab to do gain-of-function research.
That's right.
We just have never been able to have somebody say, it was that exact experiment that led to this COVID bug. But have we gotten there? What's the new thing that you're digging in on?
We are working on that with Jay Bhattacharya and look forward to being able to share that hopefully very soon.
Okay.
That specific
link,
correct, between the gain of function research and what we saw with COVID-19.
I mean, that would be extraordinary because just so the audience knows, if that's true, if it was Peter Daszak's research with the Wuhan so-called Bat Lady that caused this pandemic, then we did fund it. Then Anthony Fauci helped fund the pandemic.
The thing that he denied over and over and over to Senator Rand Paul's questioning.
That's right, under oath.
Under oath, exactly. So is it any wonder that he sought a preemptive pardon for anything during a certain period of time by President Biden before he left office?
And then strong-armed and smeared people like Dr. Jay Bhattacharya, anybody who came out and said, I don't know if that's natural. This actually smacks of lab.
And the reason why this is so important is not just what happened in the past, it's because this gain of function research is happening in biolabs around the world. I got attacked, and I think you saw this, we've probably talked about it on your show before, when I warned against US-funded biolabs in Ukraine when the Russia-Ukraine war kicked off for this very reason. Who knows what kinds of pathogens are in these labs, and if released, could create another COVID-like pandemic. And for that, I was called a Russian asset. You're, trumpeting Putin's talking points, all of this nonsense, simply for speaking the truth and stating facts that, by the way, are still on U.S. Embassy Ukraine's website today about how the U.S. has funded these biolabs in Ukraine. But my point is, in order to prevent another COVID-like pandemic or another major health incident that could affect us in the world, we have to end this gain of function research and provide the evidence that shows exactly why and how it's in our best interest, the American people's best interest, to bring about an end to it.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is what I voted for. I can't believe that after years of railing about this, that we're finally getting it. We're finally going to get a true investigation into Dr. Fauci, and that she knows who's looking into it, Jay Bhattacharya. Now, this is the greatest revenge because it's Jay Bhattacharya, who had all of his credentials questioned by Dr. Fauci, who was stripped of his merit in a lifetime of work at Stanford, who is one of those virologists who actually stood up to the regime here, and who has now a very high position, much higher position than Dr. Fauci in the federal government. Dr. Fauci's been fired, effectively, resigned in disgrace. And so this is going to be amazing to see how this shakes out. And these are the kind of questions that, I'm so happy that people are finally asking these questions. I mean, these are the kind of questions that need to be asked. Because what people, it's what people need. It's what people demand. Ladies and gentlemen, speaking of demands, when you are out and you are traveling and when you are on the road, it is so easy to get the sniffles. It is so easy to get a little sick and feel a little worn down. We're out here doing the show. You got to like wake up at 5 a.m. out here on the West Coast time. I wake up at 5 a.m. at home, but that's in a different time zone. So now it's like waking up at 3 a.m. right? But I want to make sure that I get prayers in. I do. I want to make sure that I get a workout in. I want to make sure that I get show prep in. I want to make sure that we're ready for whatever breaking news, right, that we have. Make sure that you stay healthy when you are out and about. Make sure that you stay healthy when you are on your feet and moving. The way that I do that is Brickhouse Field of Greens. Brickhouse Field of Greens is my supplement that I use to make sure that I'm getting my fruits and vegetables when I'm out on the road. It is very hard to get fresh fruit and fresh vegetables and to get the nutrients that you need when you're at home. When you're traveling, it is virtually impossible. There's nothing but garbage that is available to eat. And we did a really cool shoot yesterday at a really awesome based restaurant here in California. We talked about how impossible it is to get fresh fruits and vegetables, how hard it is to get fresh, good, real food that isn't poison. Well, ladies and gentlemen, something that Jay Bhattacharya is working on, something that RFK is working on, is making sure that you can get that in your diet. The easiest way to get it right now is Field of Greens. Field of Greens makes sure that you are locked in with the kind of vegetables that support your vital organs, the kind of fruits that support your liver, kidneys, metabolism, immune system, and healthy blood cells. I travel with this. It's easy. Powder, you shake it up and down the hatch. This is the best way to stay healthy especially when you're up and moving around like we are right now. Okay, let me get you started with 20% off your first order, free shipping. Visit fieldofgreens.com and use the promo code Benny. Fieldofgreens.com, code Benny. Feel healthier today. That's what everybody says when they use this. And it's certainly what my doctor and my blood work has come back as. Feeling healthier, getting healthier, feeling better, being on your feet, and being able to rock and roll, right? We want to be able to meet the moment. Okay, so that's what we're doing here. So we're here in California, and lo and behold, at the exact same time, probably to spite us, I would assume, Kamala Harris decides to make her big, giant appearance back on the national stage. Kamala Harris has crawled out of whatever wine box she was rolling around in over the last 6 months. You haven't seen her. You haven't seen Kamala Harris at all. And she decided to, again, like take, push the cardboard sides out of the giant container store size wine box that she has finished. All right. In a Guinness Book of World Records, largest wine box ever finished. Kamala Harris now, not sober, that's for sure. But definitely speaking in front of a microphone again, which I say, like, great job. Thank you. More of this. Has decided to reappear on the national stage. So here we go. This is her entrance. She's decided to make content like this. She's speaking at a gala, and here's how she's welcomed to the gala.
I'm glad that you're here at this gala. You know, like I was telling them, you know, you can't have a gala without the gay and then the comedy.
Exactly.
You just
That's
can't.
right. Between us, we are the gala.
Why don't we have a cringe alert, guys? What's going on here? Okay, I'll do it. Cringe alert. I'm sorry. And the reason I say that is because I love this. I love the chat. I love you. I love the audience so much. We got to do, I have to warn you before this kind of stuff. We're out of step. We're out of training. We used to have 20 cringe alerts per show because we were covering Kamala Harris every single day. We need to get back on track. Okay. Back up on the horse. Here we go, ladies and gentlemen. Cringe alert. Here's Kamala Harris dancing.
Wait. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Now cross. All right. There we go.
Wow. She's so qualified. She's so qualified. Is this the lady that lied about working at McDonald's? Is this the lady who, and we asked at the DNC convention and in every blue city in America, that nobody can really notate any accomplishments? Is this her? Is it her? Is she back? She's back. Here's her entrance. Okay, Dougie is here. Got it. And the glitching, by the way, is not our feed. It's their stupid feed. Couldn't even get the live feed right. Kamala Harris decided to go off on President Trump's first 100 days. We've been talking a lot about that. We're going to talk a lot about that in the rest of the show. So let's hear Kamala's take, shall we?
But sadly, we have seen quite the opposite over these past few months. Now, I know tonight's event happens to coincide with the 100 days after the inauguration, and I'll leave it to others to give a full accounting of what has happened so far. But I will say this. Instead of an administration working to advance America's highest ideals, we are witnessing the wholesale abandonment of those ideals.
Great. Keep going. I love it. It's like making David Hogg the spokesman for the DNC. It's like putting AOC out there as like your presidential candidate. Like, do it. I love it. Go. This is it's genius. How do I help? Now, I do say that there are a couple of logical problems in what Kamala is saying. A reminder that Kamala Harris ran on the slogan that she's a prosecutor and that Donald Trump's a convicted felon. None of those things are correct. Kamala Harris didn't prosecute a single case. In fact, we went through her entire record. You can't find Kamala Harris actually prosecuting any cases. It is like the definition of a DEI hire. And then Donald Trump is not a convicted felon. Donald Trump had those cases thrown out. Donald Trump didn't do any jail time. All of it's fake. Kamala Harris has decided now that lawfare is bad. Kamala Harris decided now that the rule of law is very, very bad. Like when you assist in the human smuggling of a criminal alien, that's really bad. The Trump administration locked up judges who were doing that. Some of the criminal aliens were literally living in these judges' homes, being smuggled through their courthouses in secret little tunnels. But Kamala loves that. That's the kind of law breaking that Kamala, she's going to cheer it, okay? She gonna do it. Let's go.
Of Americans who are speaking out to say it is not okay to violate court orders. Not okay. Saying it is not okay to detain and disappear American citizens or anyone without due process. The courage of judges to uphold the rule of law in the face of those who would jail them. Of universities that are defying unconstitutional demands that threaten the pursuit of truth and academic independence. And I will tell you, the courage of all these Americans inspires me.
Okay. I don't get it. I don't see it. Democrats are applauding for it. Not exactly sure. I don't know. I don't even know what she's saying there. The final thing, because we just got to get, you just got to get it all out of our system. Kamala Harris decided to try and make a metaphor work about elephants, and the entire internet's saying, "Lady, go back into your wine box. Let me know what you think." Here we go.
In fact, please allow me, friends, to digress for a moment. Okay. It's kind of dark in here, but I'm asking for a show of hands. Who saw that video from a couple of weeks ago? The one of the elephants at the San Diego Zoo during the earthquake? Google it if you've not seen it. So that scene has been on my mind. Everybody's asking me what you've been thinking about these days. Well,
was there a point there, or what? Like, was that just? You're just trying to prove to us why you shouldn't ever run for office again? Why all of us should be calling Alcoholics Anonymous on your behalf? Okay, ladies and gentlemen, somebody is definitely calling on Kamala Harris to continue speaking. Carolyn Levitt this morning from the very top rope was very excited about Kamala's reemergence on the national campaign stage. Here we go.
Thank you for your time. Thank you, everyone. And just to add on the Kamala Harris point, I think I speak for everyone at the White House. We encourage Kamala Harris to continue going out and do speaking engagements. You'll hear from the president at 11 o'clock. See you guys later.
Okay. All right. Stephen Miller, also from the top rope. The White House is loving this Kamala Harris return to form. Let's go.
Thank you. Last night, Kamala Harris delivered her first major speech after losing the election. She attacked Trump personally, attacked the policies. Any comment from the White House on that?
Well, I think it was a great reminder to the American people of just how blessed we all are that the leader sitting in the Oval Office today is President Donald Trump and not President Kamala Harris. It was a helpful reminder of just what a travesty and a tragedy that would have been. It would have been the end of America. And it gives me a chance to bring this whole thing home. If we continued on this road of radical regulation, choking off American energy, sending our supply chains to foreign countries, taxing our economy to death, pushing this cancerous woke ideology on our children, ending merit, ending scientific innovation, ending public safety, allowing, everyone goes to the stores these days, everything's locked up, criminals roam free, law-abiding citizens under the previous administration were punished while gangbangers were given red carpet treatment. Democrats, of course, are still giving gangbangers red carpet treatment. And then the border invasion. If those policies had continued, it would have been the end of the American Republic. And the only thing Americans want to hear from Kamala Harris is an apology for joining Joe Biden, and remember, she was the border czar, joining Joe Biden in aiding and abetting the invasion of our country. And we're never going to stop talking about this because what they did to this country is unforgivable. It is an eternal stain on the Democrat Party. Every day we read another story. Every day we arrest another alien they let into this country who raped a child, who beat a woman within an inch of her life, who murdered a mom, who murdered a dad, who trafficked drugs into this country, who trafficked fentanyl into this country, who are responsible for dead and slaughtered Americans. And I don't know what's broken in the Washington press corps, that none of that moves them emotionally. The only thing that gets them exercised is, do we need to have more trials for terrorist supporters? Do we need to have more trials for gangbangers? Do we need to have more trials for illegal alien invaders? Even though Congress and the Constitution clearly say that you can expel invaders and illegal aliens quickly, efficiently, and properly.
Ladies and gentlemen, joining us to talk about Kamala Harris's brand new reemergence on the scene is President Trump's former press secretary and also press secretary for the Trump campaign and also vice chair of the Center for Election Integrity, the great Hogan Gidley. Christmas come early for you, Hogan. Well done. I don't know if you're behind all this with Kamala returning, but it's like a lot of things can turn in like 24 hours, and it just seems to be a lot of blood in the bloodstream now that Kamala has reemerged, cackling out of her wine box.
The joy and the vibes are back. That's what it's always been about, as you know. I mean, what an abject failure as a candidate, an abject failure as a senator, a horrible vice president, as we all know. What's so interesting is, as a comms person, you know this, everyone always wants to blame the comms people. They say it's our fault. Why is the messaging better? Democrats don't have a messaging problem. They've got a policy problem. You cannot sell a bad product. Just ask Kamala Harris. She's so bad at this. And after 4 years of failures that hurt all Americans, regardless of race, religion, color, or creed, they doubled down on the same policies and tried to run a re-election campaign on the failures. And what the most egregious part of it was, as we're all out here suffering, they slapped us all in the face by saying what you're experiencing isn't really real. Oh, no, you're not paying more for gas and groceries. The economy's better. Oh, no, the border's sealed. It's not open. You don't have violent criminals flooding your communities, committing rape and murder and burglaries and homicide. I mean, give me a break. But to join Caroline and Stephen, one of my good friends, more of this, the better. Please keep it coming.
I wanted to do sort of that lead up because I know that they've worked with you and you've worked with them before, and they seemed thrilled about that. The White House seems to be yes,
very giddy.
The White House seems to be Hogan giddy about all of this. Can you give me like kind of an insight into from our perspective, it would seem like it's been the Democrats have done absolutely nothing to try and present a better alternative. And now even Hakeem Jeffries is banning his caucus from scurrying down to El Salvador for passionate night of lovemaking with MS-13 members after enough margaritas.
Yeah, you remember the Summer of Love, where our country was burning to the ground, and it was the esteemed Kamala Harris you just put up there, who didn't try and raise money to help the businesses that were lost or destroyed. She was trying to help the criminals who did the destruction, right? This is the same thing. Forget the American citizens who've experienced unspeakable crime and torture, not to mention drain on resources by these illegal aliens. Forget them. The Democrats are going to focus on the ones who are draining the resources, on the ones who are committing crimes against American citizens, making our city streets less safe. Just politically, it's the dumbest thing I've ever seen. But to be this tone deaf as to where America is right now still is baffling to me. Now, I'm sure Democrats are going to find their footing between now and the midterms, maybe the next presidential, maybe. But if they're going to keep doing things like going to El Salvador to prop up an MS-13 gang member who beat his own wife and has a whole host of crimes on his rap sheet, and not stand up for those who are suffering here at home. And by the way, did I see a report that they actually like stayed in like a 5-star resort or something? The Democrats in like some cushy deal. Like, yeah. It's astounding to me.
There was salt on the rims of the glasses, Hogan. They had cherries. They had maraschino cherries put on the salty rim margarita glasses. Okay?
Salt on the rims of the glasses, and salt in the wounds of the American people who are looking for a way out of this, and Democrats just don't get it.
Salt for these libs. Okay, so you work very closely with Speaker Mike Johnson. A couple questions. One, has the Speaker encouraged Democrats to continue to visit romantically with MS-13 members?
Well, as you know, I do work a little bit with the Speaker, some folks up here at the House. I don't speak on behalf of Mike Johnson. However, I think everyone on our side of the aisle is quite excited about the political tact that these Democrats are taking. As I said, they don't have a messaging problem. They've got a policy problem. So going down to support criminals, I mean, more, please. Our margins are so slim in the House. And as you know, history will most likely repeat itself at some point where the party in power loses the midterms. So the president could have a problem on his hands if the House is taken over by Hakeem Jeffries and the Democrats. But I'm telling you, it's looking more and more like history is not going to repeat itself in these midterms because of images you have on your screen right now with just idiots going down in support of criminals. I just don't get it.
That's a great point that you bring up, because there are slim margins. The reason the margins are so slim is not because of a constitutional republic, but because of an insane and what should be absolutely illegal, immoral act that happens with the census, where we don't ask about American citizenship. Yeah. And instead, we allow criminal aliens to give 10 or 20 extra House seats to Democrats who represent them. And this is a horrible incentive, Hogan. Why hasn't this been fixed by the Speaker?
Well, I'll tell you, I guess Commerce still does the census, if I'm not mistaken. I guarantee you they're going to be looking at that. I think the first Trump administration handled a lot of this, and these types of things are problematic just for the reasons you mentioned. As the House continues to focus on reconciliation and the one big beautiful bill so we can get the energy policy right, the tax cuts remain in place, close the border, all the things we want there. I guarantee you these are things we're going to look at once we get past that big fight, because quite frankly, it's ridiculous to allow counting of people who aren't in this country legally, who have no right to be here whatsoever, and you're determining representation on people, thanks to the Trump administration, who are here now but are going to be gone pretty soon, which takes the whole numbers game of how you count the census and changes it all. So the quicker we can figure that piece out, I think the better off we'll be too, because there's no reason we should be counting those people.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like there's constant complaining that there's slim majorities, but the way to fix those would be to actually fix our census and count only American citizens, and then Democrats lose 20 seats. And that's just a matter of like basic math.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. And this has been so well documented now, because this wasn't in real time. No, everyone was complaining and concerned, but they don't understand why. This is why your show and others like you are so good at this, because you're explaining an issue that most people are like, who cares? Just count people for the census. what it actually does is it changes the balance of power in the chambers that represent America, which means the policies you want enacted will not get enacted because you don't have proper representation because they miscounted the census in the first place. This is a fundamental fact that we have to change across this country because the American people just deserve better.
So you're saying that the speaker is looking into this and this is a priority item?
I know the House is absolutely looking into this. They want to change this for sure.
That would be great because people wonder like why we elect guys like we elect Trump and we elect the policies of President Trump, and then none of them get enacted right into law, and then all the executive orders get undone right by the next lib that gets in there, and we wonder what's the disconnect there exactly. And the disconnect is that they've rigged it. They've rigged the game and they've rigged the representation because Trump wins the popular vote. He wins all 7 swing states, and then we have a 1-seat majority in the House, and everyone's saying you can't really govern with a 1-seat majority. How's that happen? What's the misconnect here? And the misconnect is fraud, obviously.
Of course. And I will tell you, interestingly enough, because I worked in the first Trump admin where we had like Paul Ryan as a speaker actively working against the border policies we were trying to get done, of course.
It's good to remind people of that. Thank you, Hogan. It's good to remind people of that.
They worked against Trump in the first administration. This is different. Both Leader Thune and Speaker Mike Johnson are on the same page. And you've heard the speaker say publicly many times, Trump calls the plays and I run them. So way different than how it was when I was over at the White House trying to fight against a Republican-controlled House that wanted nothing to do with Trump policies. Now the swing state wins. Now the mandate's in place. So once reconciliation happens, this is part of the Trump agenda. And both chambers, the House and the Senate, really do want to accomplish these things on behalf of the American people. And by the way, they ran on and won on the America First principles and policies as well. So they understand what they've got to do to deliver. And as you said, 150 some odd executive orders somewhere in there, however many there are to this point, record speed he's doing. But with cuts from DOJ and other things, the speaker also publicly on the record has said many times, I want them to qualify it, quantify it, and I will codify it. So this time, different than last, there will be an effort from the House side to codify the things Trump is doing so that the next president, with the stroke of a pen, can't erase those things on day one.
Yeah, I mean, that would be amazing. And just as a preview and a final question here, I know this is the question of the hour. What's that bill going to look like? What can we expect to see put in that bill? And how closely are you working with the Republican Senate to make sure that we can get this thing actually across the finish line?
Well, I'll tell you, Trump speed is something that we all talk about, and until you've experienced it, it's hard to quite fathom, especially in Washington, D.C. But Trump moves at a pace like nobody I've ever seen before in politics. He never sleeps. He never rests. He wants to accomplish things for the American people. Congress is built to move slowly. The Senate's built to move slowly. But I'll tell you, they're trying to get this thing done by Memorial Day. That's the fastest this body has ever moved, in large part because the speaker and the leadership saw this coming, and they've been working on this stuff behind the scenes for the last year and change. So now the time the markup is happening, this is moving much faster than anyone thought possible. And to the average voter out there, most Americans, people who love you and listen to you, they're like, why is this happening faster? It's hard to describe, but it's faster than it's ever happened before because the Republican Congress and because the White House are in lockstep. They want to get this done together. So they're working with all of these members to accomplish exactly what they ran on and won on. And the reconciliation bill, while one big, beautiful bill, as you know, you run it through reconciliation so you don't need Democrat votes. So you can get all the Republicans in lockstep. So be watching for your membership. Be watching for the folks who represent you, those who are making the most noise. A couple of people defect, and we got a whole disaster on our hands. That's why we're trying to work to keep everyone on the same page to get it done, because there's just no alternative. If we don't govern now and accomplish what we said we would accomplish for the American people, we don't deserve to hold office anymore. But I got to tell you, I think all these things are going to come to fruition because they understand how important it is.
Well, we have Senator Mike Lee on right after you. He's actually in the green
go.
room right now listening to you, Hogan. So I'm sure he will follow right up on that.
He knows a little. He knows a little something about it. And he's been one of the strongest advocates for Trump too for a long time. He's great.
That's exactly right. Very briefly, because it is breaking news off the top of the show. Tulsi Gabbard alluding to Dr. Fauci's lies to Congress as something that needs to be investigated and is being investigated. Can you give us any insight?
Listen, this is so important because I was dealing with Fauci during the start of COVID in the White House, and I watched people around the table would ask him questions he couldn't answer that were simple questions that if he actually was an expert and knew all these things, it was, remember, this was a time when this was unforeseen. It was unprecedented. It was straight out of China. No one knew what to do. And so we relied on people who lied to us. Fauci lied to Donald Trump. He lied to members of the staff consistently. And now we find out through so many amazing members on both the House and Senate side, he's lied to the chambers as well. So who knows where this goes? But I'm telling you, I think that guy's in a lot of trouble, and he should be.
Wow. Well, can you, just real quick follow-up, can you elucidate like what a lie that you personally witnessed Dr. Fauci tell?
He would say things about masks, for example, and he would say something like, well, you have to wear a mask if you have it. But if you're asymptomatic or you have it, you don't need a mask. And I'm like, wait a minute. You're telling me you may not know you have it, but you don't need a mask? Well, you wouldn't know you had it. So half the people have to wear masks and the other half don't? Like, I don't understand. No, you're not listening, Hogan. You're not listening. Masks. And I'm like, no, you're not listening. If you say you need a mask, people are going to have to wear masks. And he goes, no, you don't need a mask for half of the people. And then we find out later that the reason he was saying that is because he wanted to make sure his healthcare people had masks and the American public didn't. It also exposed, of course, a massive reliance on China, which we now have got to get rid of thanks to Donald Trump as well. And we're working on that too. But he was so full of it from start to finish. It was egregious and criminal.
So you're saying that Dr. Fauci is potentially in trouble and that we may see some further action inside of the House to assist in the investigation of Dr. Fauci?
I hope. I've not heard chatter about it, but every day someone brings up his name, I know people are thinking about him and what he did to America, because this is going to be generational. I mean, the impacts of what he did to our families, to our children, to our education level for kids, this is going to be an impact felt on our society, on this country for generations. And he's the author of it. And it's a real problem.
Yeah, it's on par with the open border. You're exactly right.
It's also two words in the Trump administration I care about: the transparency, which we're getting, which is great. But how many times does the second word follow? The accountability. Trump is finding out who's doing the wrong. And then he's saying, all right, you're at the very least losing your job, or we may come after you criminally and prosecute you for violation of all types of things. So it's the transparency, yes, but the accountability that follows, I think, is really important. And it's up to Congress and the Senate to make sure that happens as well.
Y'all don't understand that there's like there are some Sith Lords in Washington, D.C. Hogan Gidley's one of them. Just like people behind the scenes that like really make it happen and are cool. Okay, they have double lightsabers. They're cool, right? And they're red lightsabers. It's really neat, very scary. Okay, they walk around and they're the good guys though. Like they actually make it happen. Hogan's just one of those guys. All right, and DC can't move without it. He's just one of the good guys. All right, can't tell you all the stories, but let me tell you, guys got a lightsaber. Right? Big red lightsaber.
You get me out of the tie, do some bourbon for a late night edition of Benny's show, and we'll go online and do it that way.
The meme makers, the professional meme makers that we employ on this channel, only show to do this, but Hogan, are already thinking about like Darth Maul memes for you. So, all right, it's happening. Thank you very much, Hogan. We'll get you a custom stinger next time you're on the program with the Darth Maul intro. Okay.
Thanks, Benny.
Thank you.
Doing great. Appreciate it.
All right. Even have it by the end of the show. We'll see. The man who resides inside of the constitutional Jedi temple, who's on the Jedi Council of the Constitution. Is that the right way to say that? I don't know. It's one of the wise men, right, who talk about the old ways and the ways that things are done and the laws of the Force. Is the great Senator Mike Lee, and he joins us live now. Senator, I'm just going with the Star Wars allegory. I apologize. We didn't plan on that. I don't know if you're into Star Wars. I don't know if you.
Well, look, I didn't expect you to call Hogan Gidley a Sith Lord today. That was not on my bingo card.
He liked it. He was into that. He was like, yeah.
A compliment if you did call someone a Sith Lord, but you pulled it off. It somehow worked. I mean, Darth Maul does have one of the coolest theme songs in the entire series of Star Wars movies. So Hogan's got to be happy about that.
And one of the coolest fights. I think it's inarguable that the Darth Maul fight in The Phantom Menace probably the best fight in all the prequels.
Absolutely, without question.
In all the prequels,
the music accompanying it, the horns, it really works.
And I think it's cool to be compared to that, right? And you are one of the wise Jedi Council. So since we were just talking about Dr. Fauci, and a number of things I want to ask you, Senator, but since we were talking about Dr. Fauci, and that's in the news right now because Tulsi Gabbard says that Jay Bhattacharya, who was the chief victim, by the way, of Dr. Fauci and his attacks on science, is now investigating Dr. Fauci. And we're going to be getting to the bottom of what truly happened inside of these the CDC and HHS organs. My question for you is more of an esoteric one, which has to do with the laws governing pardons. I have never heard of a pardon for a non-crime. And I don't know if that's constitutionally viable. We've had many legal scholars on, Senator, that have said that's not how pardons work. You commit a crime, you get accused of a crime, you get charged with a crime, you get found guilty, and then you get your pardon. And that's the way pardons have always worked. And to be able to just pardon people in perpetuity for nothing, that's an abuse of the system, and it won't stand up in court. What do you believe about that? Do you believe that Dr. Fauci is actually pardoned, Senator?
I suspect that would hold up in court. I'm not certain. There is some ambiguity here in the sense that the Constitution grants the President of the United States pardon power. And many people have long believed that that can include both offenses that have reached the point of not only charge and conviction, but could also stem back to not yet charged offenses, sort of a prospective pardon for past conduct. I don't know whether courts will come out on this. I suspect they will err on the side of deferring to presidential authority, but I could be wrong.
Mm-hmm. There's not been a lot of that recently from the courts. I think it'd be a unique. I think it'd be unique to see that play out in the court system, right? If a president can just say, here's hundreds of people that I'm just going to grant them immunity for anything they've ever done.
Yeah.
Or thousands of people, or millions of people. I mean, what's the limiting factor there, Senator? That
Right.
a president just pardons all of his supporters?
Well,
I'm just going to pardon 100 million Trump supporters. You're all pardoned. Thank you for voting for me. Well, that seems like seems like a very bad incentive, right?
You can imagine a post-apocalyptic dystopian scenario in which a president starts doing not only that, but also starts and not only pardoning crimes that have not yet been charged, but for past conduct. But what if it turns next to prospective conduct? You identify a bunch of people who you want to pardon. You pardon them for anything they've done up until that moment or anything thereafter. I think at that point, it really does start to get touchy. I think that ceases to be a pardon at some point and becomes something more akin to the buying and selling of indulgences, and that would be a problem.
Yes. Yes. Well, it's one thing with Dr. Fauci. It's a totally different thing with saying like the entire January 6th committee. That's where it starts. Like, that's where it really starts. Like all these guys that did my dirty work, like every one of them, you get a pardon. Now,
right.
That's when you're like bleeding into it, right? Like
right.
these bodies of people that behave criminally, or that's what we, that's our presumptions here. You're good to go. That's exactly what you're talking about, Senator.
Yeah, and I think that would become particularly problematic if a president were to identify a category of people by describing them, but not naming them. That would also become problematic. That's also a moment where it becomes rather less like a pardon. Yeah. I do think it is rather more like a pardon where somebody identifies someone by name, identifies conduct that may have occurred at some point in the past prior to the moment of the issuance of the pardon. That's a little bit more pardon-like.
So just really quickly, because you're such dear friends with Dr. Fauci, and it's because of the questioning from your actual friend Rand Paul, who really ripped the bark off of Fauci. I mean, truly, unlike anybody else.
Appropriately so.
And he lied to Rand Paul. You can see him lie here in this famous clip where he actually shakes. And Dr. Fauci has done hundreds of thousands of interviews, and I've never seen him shake. It's the first time he shakes. What was happening here? I'm not sure that you were in the room for this, but can you please describe this? And as a senator and somebody who upholds the values of the Senate, you clearly would be for maximum punishment for somebody who openly lied to you about something like this.
Yeah, it's a problem. Look, Rand Paul had been saying for a long time that there's something funky going on here. There's something that doesn't make sense. COVID comes out at the same time that for years, Dr. Fauci had been funding gain-of-function research, and gain-of-function research specifically into coronaviruses, looking into furin cleavage sites and all kinds of technical biological terms that I'm not terribly familiar with, but the world sort of understands now. And Dr. Fauci denied it. He denied it and denied it, called Rand Paul a liar. And then, as it turned out, Rand Paul was right all along. And what had in fact happened was that Dr. Fauci had understood that he had been banned from funding gain-of-function research and continued to do so after rather cleverly disguising that term by redefining the term. And that's really a problem. And it now appears that probably resulted in research being done at Wuhan, resulting in a lab leak, resulting in a lot of people getting sick, and the whole world turning on edge and being thrust even further into the depths of socialism as a result of this pandemic. A pandemic that probably was avoidable, at least in the sense that had we not funded things that we weren't supposed to be funding in the first place, perhaps this virus would never have existed enough to have been leaked into the public and spread across the world. So that's really a problem. And I think Dr. Fauci has a lot to answer for.
Yeah, the spreading of socialism, you're precisely right. Communism is the actual virus, and I'm broadcasting here, unfortunately, from the state of California.
2 pandemics.
That's right.
I started saying early during the crisis, we're facing 2 pandemics. One is the virus itself, and the other is the government response to the virus. And from the beginning, I started believing that it's arguable that the government response to the virus was probably worse than the virus itself.
So I'm witnessing the results of the socialism communism virus here in Los Angeles, and we're detailing. We just couldn't take it that Gavin Newsom, we're out here for CPAC and Turning Point and a number of other things, but we just couldn't take. We're extending our trip because we couldn't take it that Gavin Newsom was bragging about how great California's economy is doing. And we're here at a hotel in Beverly Hills, and there's homeless people everywhere. Okay, this is where like they make movies about how nice this place is. No, it's not nice. And the LA Water and Power is like across the street, Senator, and there's a homeless encampment that's blocks long in the place that's supposed to be cleaning up after the fires here, the wildfires here. Like things are so unbelievably dysfunctional, dangerous, filthy. It's awful. I mean, it is truly a collapsing state. The reason that the state's gotten like this is because of Democrat votes, and because of those votes switching so quickly after an enormous number of illegal criminal aliens here were granted amnesty by Ronald Reagan, in a total stain on his, by the way, his legacy. Destroyed the state that got him all the political power, and then one of his final acts destroys the state. The point is, I don't want that to happen to the country, and I'd like to see as many institutional fights as Republicans make to stop the Californication of the nation, which I believe was the goal, quite frankly, if the Biden administration would have been completed in a Kamala administration. Now she's running for governor here. What is the Senate doing to ensure that criminal aliens are not counted in our census, that the deportations or the judges can be reined in that are preventing those deportations, and assisting in ensuring that not just that the border is closed, but that those who are here criminally and illegally go home?
Yeah. You know, we saw a lot of the problem encapsulated yesterday with the U.S. District Judge in California named Jennifer Thurston.
Thank you.
She issued an order essentially enjoining the U.S. Border Patrol from arresting illegal aliens without a warrant. Let's unpack that for a minute as it relates to the answer to your question. Normally, when you arrest someone, you don't have to have a search warrant. You can arrest someone with a warrant. That's used in certain circumstances where there's an ongoing investigation. You need to go after somebody. But in many instances, no arrest warrant is used because an officer may arrest someone. I mean, this is centuries-old doctrine at play here. If a police officer sees and is aware of circumstances creating probable cause that a crime has been committed, the officer may arrest the person and doesn't have to have a warrant to do that. But this judge, Jennifer Thurston, issued an order essentially saying you're going to have to get a warrant to arrest illegal aliens. Even though, number one, it's not a rule that we follow elsewhere. Number two, there is a specific federal statute that authorizes the Border Patrol to arrest without a warrant suspected illegal immigrants, in part because it's a known fact that when you've got illegal immigrants, you've got an almost inherent flight risk a risk that if you don't arrest them on the spot, they're going to leave. They tend to not have roots sunk as deep as other people do. And odds are pretty good that you're never going to find them again. And so you arrest them. Well, that was not okay with her. Look, this is part and parcel of this ongoing campaign of what I call the judicial and insurrectionists, those who refuse to acknowledge the legitimacy of the Trump presidency, the fact that he is president of the United States. I've already introduced some legislation to try to deal with the nationwide injunction issue, the issue of injunctive relief being used to deny the president of the United States the benefits of his office. My bill would require that these types of actions be considered before a 3-judge district court panel with a direct automatic appeal to the Supreme Court of the United States so that we can get it done quickly. This thing that Judge Thurston did yesterday has got me off on a new idea, another legislative concept that I'm working on to develop into a bill, is one that would further constrain their power there, to make clear that I think we need a law saying that illegal aliens don't have a right to full process in an Article 3 federal court, that any review they might be able to have needs to be undertaken in an immigration court and not in an Article 3 federal district court. This would expedite the process of deporting these people, and we've got so many of them. And they were brought in with no process at all. None.
Right.
They just said, open the gates, bring them in. And just today, just in the last few minutes, right before I came on your show, I learned about a new development. They've uncovered the fact that the Biden administration had vast throngs of illegal immigrants who came in, who they knew were convicted sex offenders. And the Biden administration knowingly, intentionally released them into the public, into the American public. The treason just doesn't seem to come to an end there. So these are all reasons why we've got to pass some of these bills to make sure that we can deport people a lot faster than we're able to right now. They were brought in with no process. They shouldn't get much more process on the way out either. I'm not sure they should be entitled to any. Once we identify somebody as here illegally, that should be the end of the inquiry.
Is that information public that the Biden administration knowingly let in sex offenders?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Okay. It's been made public just earlier this morning. And so it's one of many, many data points that we can point to, Benny, indicating why it is that I understand the impulse of the left to want to bring in and harbor people from other countries because their own voters here at home are disgusted with them. They see what happens to democratic cities, democratic states. And as you point out, Ronald Reagan, despite the good things that he did, he opened the door for California to become a deep blue sea, an apocalyptic hellscape unto itself.
Yes.
Democrats are seeing that their own voters at home are turning on them because of this. And so they saw this as a chance to bring in new voters from other places. And we know that for all kinds of reasons. Just look, Benny, at how aggressively they are opposing the SAVE Act. The bill that I'm running in the Senate, Chip Roy's running in the House, that would simply require you to prove that you're a U.S. citizen before you vote. The same thing that you have to do, by the way, whenever you start any new job in America. You have to fill out an I-9 and you have to prove that you're a citizen. It's not hard, nor is it hard even for people who have gotten married and changed their name. There is an easy, fast process to make that work. There ought to be no distinction between starting a job and casting a vote. And yet the Democrats weep and wail and have gnashing of teeth every time this comes up because, of course, no, we can't make people prove their citizenship because that way we couldn't win elections with the votes of non-citizens. This is unacceptable. It's got to stop.
So that dovetails into something else I wanted to ask you about, which is the questions for the census. The reason why it's such a thin majority in both the Senate and in the House, but especially the House, is because of the criminal aliens being counted in the census. And that, of course, gives outsized and illegal representation to districts like the one that I'm in right now, where there's untold tens of thousands of illegals here that get counted like they're American citizens. And it's a scar on the face of the country, and it clearly is what leads to the end of democracies, when the people keep voting for something and they don't get it. And they wonder why. And then they say, oh, wait, the system's completely rigged. And it must be changed. It has to be changed. Is this part of the SAVE Act, Senator? Or can it be amended to potentially change the census? Could you educate me on this?
Yeah, so the SAVE Act doesn't address the census. That would require either a separate piece of legislation or a separate decision by the administration as to the conduct of future censuses. But the Trump administration during the last Trump presidency tried to do this, and it ended up getting mired in a court battle.
Yeah.
And it never got finally resolved in time for it to fully kick in. I do think we probably are going to need legislation on this, and we probably ought to do it. There are some complicated factors there. The left is going to have some arguments that are not entirely easy to refute. One of them is that the census clause found, I believe, in Article 1, Section 3, requires an actual enumeration every 10 years of the whole number of persons in each state. One of the issues that we're going to deal with there when arguing this against the left is that they'll say that the drafters of the Constitution knew how to differentiate between those who are citizens on the one hand and the whole number of persons in each state on the other hand. And in this circumstance, they refer to the whole number of persons, and that we're therefore stuck with what's happening here, which is part of what was the evil genius behind Biden's diabolical move in bringing all these people in, is that he knew there was a chance that, constitutionally speaking, it'd be difficult or impossible for us to exclude them from the census apportionment count. And that's before we even get to the point of how census enumerations are done. I've litigated a couple of census-related cases, and therefore know a fair amount about how it's done. When they're doing this, they're not necessarily talking to every person in every household. They have all kinds of tools that they can use to estimate, to figure out which homes are inhabited, to figure out who lives where. And they don't always know or have the ability to know whether somebody is a citizen when they count them.
So this is obviously, that's very interesting. I actually didn't know that. The whole number of persons. Huh.
Yes, the whole number of persons in each state. And in many instances, one of the issues that I litigated 20 or so years ago was their use of a procedure known as hot deck imputation. In other words, they go from house to house looking for an actual list of how many people live there, the names and everything. In some circumstances, they can't get there. And so they utilize this procedure known as hot deck imputation, where they will look at the house and then they will assess if they can tell that it's likely inhabited. They will sometimes impute data from a neighboring house of similar size onto that house, and then they'll count that number even without knowing the specific identities of those who live there. We litigated that back in the early 2000s. I believe we were right, because I believe that the actual enumeration clause prohibited them from doing that. 13 U.S.C. Section 195 prohibits the use of a statistical sampling mechanism in performing the apportionment count. So we challenged it on that basis as well, and narrowly lost in a divided opinion. So this would complicate that as well. All of the foregoing, Benny, to the point that we've got to get these people the heck out of here.
Okay.
The next decennial census comes up in 2030.
Yes.
If they're still here, odds are pretty good that most or all of them are going to get counted, and that's going to end up disproportionately benefiting some states, most or all of which are blue states.
Wow. Very quickly here, and I know that there's a vote in the Senate. Very quickly here, I just wanted to cover my home state, of which I miss terribly, Florida. Governor DeSantis says that he wants Florida National Guard members to become immigration judges. We got the post up right here. This would swift in the process of deportations. It's exactly what you're talking about. How harsh this, how gummed up this process would be. Do you approve of this, Senator?
Yeah, I love it. I've believed for a long time. Remember, immigration judges aren't actual judges in the sense that they're not appointed by the president, confirmed by the Senate. They are administrative law judges, you might say. And so you don't have to have all these people going through the same process. A lot of the work done by immigration judges, some of it is more difficult, but I think a lot of it could be performed by people who, once properly trained, could figure out how to decide whether the essential elements of a particular action have been satisfied and then make the decision. So the generous offer by Governor DeSantis to put state personnel here, Florida National Guard personnel, in charge of this is a generous offer and one that I think we should take him up on.
Yeah, it's a great idea. Okay, well, thank you, Senator. A lot of great ideas, and I learned quite a bit. I always do, and you should learn a bit by following Senator Mike Lee. Obviously, the based Mike Lee account, 600,000.
Almost. We want to get to 600,000.
We're going to round up.
Help me get there today.
All right, we'll get there. We'll get there today, maybe 600,000. Let's go. Let your memes be dreams. Follow base Mike Lee. Godspeed, Senator, and your vote. Vote well.
Thank you. Will do. Remember, libs can't maim.
See ya. We appreciate you sticking with us as we are on the road. It's never fun to do the show from the road. I like the comfy, cozy, technical savvy, and also the shots from inside of our studio. It's clean and crisper, and it just makes everything a lot easier. But when we are on the road, we take Patriot Mobile with us, and that makes things easier for us. It keeps us locked and loaded as we are on the road, as we are filming content. Some of that I will play for you in just one moment. Alex, make sure that you connect with Colden on some of the videos that we got from yesterday, because we asked people about Kamala Harris running for governor here in the state of California, which will happen, and we want to play you some of that. All of that footage was made possible by Patriot Mobile. The reason why is that they are with us when we travel. Patriot Mobile is available on all 3 major networks. They keep us locked in no matter where we go, and they're also a company that believes what you believe. Isn't that important when you are speaking on your cell phone, to have a company that actually backs the First Amendment, not censorship, and not secret backdoors and deals with the government, right? Spying you? Yeah, no. Patriot Mobile is the cell phone provider, service provider that I trust. They're the only Christian conservative wireless provider in America, ladies and gentlemen. Their 100% US-based customer service can make the switching for you easy today. Don't wait. Go today to patriotmobile.com/Benny. Call 972-PATRIOT. Use the promo code Benny to get a free month of service when you sign up. That's patriotmobile.com/Benny. 972-PATRIOT to make the switch today. All right, ladies and gentlemen. You just load them up. You just load them up. These are fun. We were out asking people yesterday what they think of Kamala Harris being the governor of California. You just love to see it. Could Kamala Harris run for president? Yeah, she totally could in 2028. Donald Trump, though, says he backs Stephen A. Smith, the ESPN commentator, for a possible 2028 bid. I'd love to see him run. This is probably Donald Trump just being polite, right, as he ever is. Stephen A. Smith is leading the Democrat PAC. We assume he'd run as a Democrat. Maybe not. We're not sure, ladies and gentlemen. But this is what Trump said to Stephen A. Smith on a live town hall last night.
Stephen A. Smith may run for president, as you know. Do you have any advice for Stephen A. If he launches the run?
No, Stephen A. He's a good guy. He's a smart guy. I love watching him. He's got great entertainment skills, which is very important. People watch him. You know, a lot of these Democrats I watch, I say they have no chance. I've been pretty good at picking people and picking candidates, and I will tell you, I'd love to see him run.
All right, there you go.
I would love to see him run, says Donald Trump. And in case you're wondering, ladies and gentlemen, this is getting real. Stephen A. Smith said that he has no choice but to back off from some of his punditry duties and consider a run for president. Here we go.
I saw you mentioned Bill Maher. I saw Steve Bannon was on with Bill Maher, and he was asked what Democrats he worries about. And you know the only name he mentioned as a Democrat he'd be worried about. So are you really thinking about running for president? Is this something you think?
Listen, I have no choice because I've had elected officials, and I'm not going to give their names, elected officials coming up to me. I've had folks who are pundits come up to me. I've had folks that got a lot of money, billionaires and others, that have talked to me about exploratory committees and things of that nature. I'm not a politician. I've never had a desire to be a politician. I just signed a contract extension with ESPN. I am very, very
pretty
happy
good one, too.
With my day job. I'm very happy with my bosses. It's a pretty damn good one. Just right. It's a pretty damn good contract. I couldn't be happier. But here's the reality. Literally, people have walked up to me, including my own pastor, for crying out loud, who has said to me, you don't know what God has planned for you. At least show the respect to the people who believe in you, who respect you, who believe that you can make a difference in this country, to leave the door open for any possibilities 2 to 3 years down the line. And that's what I've decided to do. But again, whether it's Westmore, Governor Westmore, who I know, or Governor Josh Shapiro from Pennsylvania, who I know, Andrew Cuomo, who I had the pleasure of interviewing, who's trying to get back in things and be the next mayor of New York, etc. I see a lot of people that obviously and clearly are more qualified than me.
Man, life comes at you fast. Wouldn't it be today? Wouldn't it be today? What's going to happen tomorrow? Whenever we're on the road and outside of the studio, like massive news bombshells just hit bombshell after bombshell after bombshell. Well, here we go, ladies and gentlemen. More breaking news right now. From the Independent newsroom, here we go. FBI places censorship agent Elvis Chan on terminal leave. Well, there we go. Would you look at that? FBI Assistant Special Agent Elvis Chan has been placed on terminal leave and has not accessed his agency devices for over a month, sources have confirmed. Elvis Chan served as the main liaison between the FBI's Foreign Influence Task Force and social media platforms in the 2020 election run. The FBI declined to comment on Chan's status, citing its policy on personal matters. Chan, who identified as he, him in his pronouns on LinkedIn, still enlists himself as a special agent in charge of the FBI San Francisco Bay office, where he served for 19 years. Chan's leave follows a turbulent period involving a lawsuit by the House Judiciary Committee last year. The committee accused Chan of obstructing an investigation and censorship, failing to comply with subpoena and deposition. The lawsuit, lodged in the U.S. District Court in Washington, D.C., claims Chan discarded the subpoena after the Department of Justice challenged the committee's deposition protocols. Chan has violated and continues to violate legal obligations of refusing to appear before the House committee, says the House Office Inspector General. Elvis Chan is absolutely one of the largest censorship sledgehammers that was used against our site, against our employees, against the people who work at this company, against rightful free speech. He weaponized his position inside the FBI and his proximity to social media companies in San Francisco to destroy careers, to end the speech, and to silence the opposition for his preferred political party and narratives. Elvis Chan is an evil deep state goon, and he is deserving of any type of termination, punishment from the FBI. And I hope it doesn't end there. So this is a very happy and wonderful piece of news to get in a show that is already slam-packed with breaking news. Okay, here we go. The team tells me I got to get to assault.lib, and here it is. Assault.lib, Anna Navarro, very angry little minion, and I say minion because she's shaped like the Minions. You ever seen a Minion, right? Despicable Me movies. She's shaped like a minion. She sounds like a minion. She's as attractive as a minion. And I think that the minion creature is actually modeled after Anna Navarro. Anna Navarro lost her damn mind, and CNN had to cut to commercial because of it. A black conservative, Sir Michael Singleton, somebody who's been on this program before, was on CNN, and the meltdown is delicious. Please, ladies and gentlemen, salt this lib. Let's go.
Coming illegally, you have to leave. Americans are tired of that. We do not have unlimited resources.
You know who was here illegally with a deportation order? Marco Rubio's grandfather.
All right, we're not talking about Marco Rubio.
Oh, now we're not? Now that's not relevant?
It's not relevant.
No, I'm talking about Marco Rubio because Marco Rubio used to be an advocate for TPS for Venezuelans, and Marco Rubio used to be an advocate for Nicaraguans and Cubans. No, I know you're not.
If you come to this country illegally, you are going home. Simple as that. We do not have unlimited resources.
I think
in
a
this
lot of
country
Americans
to take care of other people.
There's a hell of a lot of people,
other
other than the black people who were brought here as slaves, who came to this country illegally.
They're not the same as black people who were brought here against our will.
That's exactly what I just said.
I
said there is a lot of people
There's a big
than
difference.
the black people.
There is a big difference.
That's exactly what I
There's a
just
big
said.
difference.
That's exactly what I just said, Sir Michael. Look and act indignant. That's exactly what I just said.
Let me share Michael.
That's other than the black
Anna and share Michael, please.
There are a lot of people from
Share
many,
Michael. I
many
think you actually
countries that came
misheard
here
what
illegally.
I think you misheard what she said.
No, he purposely misheard.
She said.
I purposely
Yes, she did.
So now you're in my
Share
brain?
Michael, listen to me for
Is
just a second.
Is that where we're going?
You think I would say I who have advocated for black people my entire life would say something like that?
Because you've advocated for black people, great, congratulations. Last time I checked, I'm black, you're not.
Okay, Share Michael.
That's right. I'm Latino and my people are being racially profiled.
It is.
And do I have to remind you the history of my people?
Share
Do I want to go there?
No, I don't.
Do you really want to go
we're
there?
going to go to break.
Raul,
we're going to go to break. Raul Reyes, thank you very much for joining us. Everybody else, hang tight. We'll be right back.
When I was studying history, like the
You ever been to like a chicken farm and the chickens get spooked and they just cluck at each other? That's very similar to that. I hate that style of like everybody talking over each other and like screaming. it's the worst. I also hate the whole like my people thing because, there's no such. We're all Americans, right? So it's like, go read some Teddy Roosevelt. Which is like there's no stop it with the hyphenated American stuff, right? Like we need to cut that out. And this is like the Selena Gomez knock, right? She's like, my people are being. Selena Gomez cries on her Instagram. My people are being deported. What do you like? First off, you live in America. Your mom's an American. You were born in America. Your deadbeat degenerate father from Mexico, he left you, but somehow that's who you side with? Your mother raised you as a single mom in poverty in Texas. I'm speaking to Selena Gomez here. And like you say you're like the person you side with is your degenerate Mexican father who abandoned you? Like that's it? That something's broken with these people. Something's wrong with it's pathological. And it is a mind virus. So she sides with them over the American culture and country that made her a billionaire. Really, it's brokenness, ladies and gentlemen. I don't want to hear any of this like my people talk. It's like that is not conservatives should not be engaging in my people talk, right? Unless you're talking about my people, meaning Americans. Like that the only way this country survives is if like my people means and only means my American people, my American children, right? And nothing else. If you're saying my people are being sent home, why don't you join them? Like you should go home then. If my people are being sent back to Guatemala or wherever, then go back to China with your people, right? Wherever your people happen to be. Why, if you don't consider America your people, then I politely ask you to leave, or I will vote for the guy who will deport you if you're here criminally and illegally. Just my take on all of the my people nonsense. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that marks a massive show where there was a ton of breaking news, and we're doing our very best from the road. And so we just thank you for sticking with us. Our verse of the day, Hebrews 10:36. For you have need of endurance, so that when you've done the will of God, you will receive what he has promised. Yeah, it's definitely an endurance. Point. Don't feel sorry for us. We love this. But there are some when you're away from your kids, you got to make it count, right? I love my family a lot. When you're away from your kids, you got to make it count. So we just ripping content. You're just ripping content all day today, all day tomorrow, all day yesterday. We are just like hitting it, right? Hitting the bricks. And it's great. It's a young man's game. That's why I try and stay in shape. It's a young man game. So we're out here building. We're out here letting the fight happen and being part of it, like being in the arena. And so we're thankful for you. You help us with our need of endurance, and you help us see sort of the end result, right? Which is we want a nation that is aligned with the promises of God, as this verse states, and to be a moral nation is the only way that this country survives. It is totally and wholly unfit for any other than a moral people, as John Adams, paraphrasing John Adams there. So, ladies and gentlemen, join us in that fight. It's your boy Benny, and we'll see ya from here, from Smoggy, California. See ya.
Welcome to the show. Put your hands together. You're in love. You are adorable when you are in love. Ow, you're insane. Yeah, wowie, 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 wowie. Oh, God.
Hurdy-gurdy-gurdy. Bun, bun, bun.
The story of young Kamala rode a donkey from Tijuana, met a man, Willie Brown, deep in the bowels of California. Nice to meet you, nice to know you. Would you like fries with your order? Come a bit closer. I got something I wanna show you. This is my spatula, this is my apron. My name is Kamala, you know what I'm saying. Cat, cat, cat. I load the pallets in the back, golden arch. I'm a wreck. Oh, Willie, you made a mess. Think fries are done. Think fries are done. Oh, what have I done? I just needed a job. One day I'll become a lawyer. Think fries are done. One day I'll be a lawyer. Think fries are done.
Benny Show, where the truth gon' be. Faith and freedom on your TV screen. Stand up strong, battle through the night. The Benny Show's here, bringing liberty to light. From the speeches to debates, Benny sharp like a blade. Cutting through the lies, watch the truth cascade. With the warrior's heart, this man never fades. You know it's prime time when Benny invades. From saving the nation to stories untold, the Benny Show's a storm, see the truth unfold. Stay in the loop, let freedom take hold. Salting all the libs, soul never sold. It's the Benny Show, where the truth gon' be. Faith and freedom on your TV screen. Stand up strong, battle through the night. The Benny Show's here, bringing liberty to light. Liberty to light. Bringing liberty to light. Liberty to light. Bringing liberty to light. From the speeches to debates, Benny sharp like a blade. Cutting through the lies, watch the truth cascade. With the warrior's heart, this man never fades. You know it's prime time when Benny invades. From saving the nation to stories untold, the Benny Show's a storm, see the truth unfold. Stay in the loop, let freedom take hold. Salting all the libs, soul never sold. It's the Benny Show, where the truth gon' be. Faith and freedom on your TV screen. Stand up strong, battle through the night. The Benny Show's here, bringing liberty to light. Bringing liberty to light. Bringing liberty to light. Bringing liberty to light. Bringing liberty to light.